Since the beginning of time, humans have constantly pondered the mysteries of life and destiny. Why are some people born into luxury, enjoying all the glory and wealth, while others have to endure hardships, even from the cradle? Why do evildoers sometimes enjoy blessings, while good people often face many storms? These questions not only cause trouble for each individual, but also challenge the collective wisdom of humanity through many generations. In Buddhist scriptures, the Buddha taught that all events in the world are not accidental, but are all due to causes and conditions. Causes and conditions in the Buddhist sense are not arrangements from any supernatural power, but are the results of our actions, words, and thoughts in the past, present, and future. The law of cause and effect operates impartially, without selection, but is extremely accurate and fair. However, to understand more clearly, we need to look deeply into how cause and effect affect each aspect of life. Some people mistakenly think that cause and effect is only limited to the framework of one lifetime. They wonder, if I live well today, why am I not happy tomorrow? In fact, cause and effect is not an instant calculation, but a continuous cycle, sometimes spanning many lifetimes. What we experience today may be the result of what we did in previous lifetimes. Similarly, what we do today will deeply affect the future, whether in this life or in future lives. In simple terms, cause and effect is like planting. When you plant rice seeds, you cannot expect to immediately have a full crop of rice. Time, care, and external factors such as weather and environment will contribute to determining the result. The same is true of human actions. Kind words and good deeds may not bring immediate results, but they will sprout in due time. On the other hand, many people are surprised to see bad people still living in prosperity and health. This can be explained by two aspects. One is that the retribution has not yet come, because cause and effect operates in its own way, independent of human expectations. Two is that the person may be enjoying the blessings from the good deeds they did in their previous life. But when their blessings are exhausted, they will have to face the consequences of their current bad actions. So, how to live well in the cycle of cause and effect? The Buddha taught that instead of just worrying about what you will receive in return, focus on sowing good causes. A sincere heart, a tolerant heart, and a determined will to do good will be the light that illuminates the path of life. Living kindly is not only for fear of retribution, but for inner peace and noble human values. In addition, understanding cause and effect helps us accept and overcome difficulties. When facing adversity, instead of blaming fate, see it as an opportunity to learn and grow. A good metallurgist cannot create pure gold without hot fire. Similarly, challenges are also tools to hone our souls. Looking further, the idea of cause and effect applies not only to individuals, but also to groups and societies. Global problems such as climate change, inequality, and war are all the fruits of the causes that humanity has sown over the centuries. Only when we understand this principle can we join forces to change the world, starting with the smallest actions. Cause and effect still operates silently. Understanding and accepting cause and effect is not to arouse fear, but to live more responsibly, fully, and meaningfully. So instead of just questioning fate, ask yourself, what seeds am I sowing today? If every day we try to sow the seeds of love, wisdom, and sincerity, then surely one day the whole garden of life will be filled with fragrant flowers and sweet fruits. One of the most important things that karma brings to humans is the ability to grow and change. Humans are not immutable entities. Every action, every decision can affect the path we take. The Buddha once taught that none of us are destined to be forever, but each person can create their own karma through changing their thoughts and actions. We can see that understanding karma not only helps people see more clearly the reasons for suffering, but also helps us know how to overcome them. When we understand that each of our actions has a long-term impact, people will have more motivation to do good deeds, to nurture pure and kind souls. This not only brings happiness to ourselves, but also contributes to creating a better society. Therefore, karma is not only a personal ethical system, but also a factor in building harmony in the community. Think about the relationships in life. From family, friends to colleagues, all are challenging relationships that have a profound impact on us. Love, sharing, caring, and empathy can all create positive results, while selfish actions, hatred, and betrayal will lead to negative results. We cannot live alone in this world, and every relationship we build will directly affect ourselves. A healthy relationship requires not only the efforts of one party, but the joint efforts of all parties involved. It is from loving actions and words, from sincere care, that we can create sweet fruits in life. Cause and effect in relationships is not simply a sacred view of actions, but also a change in the way we perceive and face life. When each person clearly realizes that they are the ones who create their own future. From the simplest actions in daily relationships, they will work with an open heart and a sincere heart. Cause and effect is not simply a personal theory, but also has a strong impact on the development of society. The major problems of humanity, such as poverty, war, violence, or environmental destruction, are not accidental. They are the result of irresponsible actions and wrong decisions from many previous generations. We can clearly see that every action in a society has consequences for the whole community. If a country applies brutal policies, if individuals in society do not care about the common good, but only care about their own interests, then serious consequences will soon appear. But if every citizen, every country has the awareness to create a peaceful and compassionate community, then surely a bright future will come closer. In fact, it is not only direct actions that create retribution, but also wrong ideas and views. When a society fosters ideas of discrimination, injustice, and oppression, these will give rise to division, hostility, and discord. But if a society cultivates the values of love, respect, and justice, then the good seeds that people sow will be fruitful. Another important aspect of understanding cause and effect is the ability to forgive. Forgiveness is an act that not only liberates the person who has been hurt, but also liberates the forgiver. We often think of forgiveness as a noble act, and indeed, it is an extremely important thing in life. But few people know that forgiveness is not only for the sake of others, but also to free oneself from the burden of hatred. When we do not forgive, we bind ourselves to negative emotions. These emotions not only cause suffering to ourselves, but also damage our relationships with others. On the contrary, forgiveness will help us free ourselves from the burdens in our hearts, so that our hearts will be more open, easily receive good things, and can create a more peaceful life. Forgiveness is also part of the process of recreating good karma in each person's life. To live a meaningful life, people need to understand that they can control their destiny through their actions, thoughts, and words. Understanding karma is not to find a way to avoid difficulties, but to face and overcome them positively. Each difficulty and challenge contains valuable lessons to help us grow. When we understand that we can create a better future, we will live responsibly and strive to become a better person every day. Life is a long and challenging journey, but if we can be aware of the impact of our actions, each day will be an opportunity to build a brighter future. Karma is not something mysterious or harsh, but a reminder of our responsibility in creating our own lives. According to the Buddha, Sin is not an abstract moral concept, nor is it a punishment from a deity or a supreme power. Sin, in the Buddha's view, is an action that is contrary to the inherent goodness in each person. These actions are not a judgment from the outside, but a direct result of our own actions, words, and thoughts. Sin does not exist independently of what humans create through the three karmas: body, speech, and mind. In Buddhist teachings, karma is not something predetermined, but a direct reflection of each individual's actions and consciousness. If we understand the nature of karma, we will realize that sin is not a punishment that we have to endure from the outside, but a reflection of what we have created in the past through unwholesome actions, words, and thoughts. According to the Buddha, these three karmas, body, speech, and mind, are the three factors that create our actions in the world. Bad actions, wrong words, and evil thoughts will lead to bad results, affecting not only others, but also ourselves deeply. Therefore, sin in Buddhism is not an abstract concept, but a direct reflection of wrong actions, words, and thoughts. Bodily karma refers to the specific actions we perform with our bodies. Bad actions, such as killing, robbing, or harming others, are all actions that create bad karma. The Buddha asserted that every physical action not only affects others, but also accumulates negative energy within us, leading to future suffering. Positive actions, on the other hand, will create good karma and help us have peace in life. Verbal karma is related to the words we utter. Untruthful, slanderous, hurtful, or even thoughtless words can create negative karma. On the other hand, truthful, compassionate, and loving words create positive karma, which helps us attract good things in life. Mental karma refers to our thoughts and states of mind. Negative, hurtful, or hateful thoughts lead to negative karma. Forgiving, loving, and compassionate thoughts create positive karma and help us attain enlightenment. The Buddha taught that thinking is one of the important factors in creating karma, as good thoughts lead to good actions. Thus, according to the Buddha, sin is not something we can blame on others or on a deity. Sin is the result of our own wrong actions, words, and thoughts. It is not a punishment that is imposed from outside, but a reflection of what we create in our lives. When we do evil, we not only harm others, but also create suffering for ourselves. These bad karma will lead to suffering, reincarnation, and rebirth in bad circumstances. However, the Buddha also taught that sin is not something that cannot be changed. Anyone can change their karma by practicing good deeds, modifying their speech and thoughts to become better. Through the practice of compassion, wisdom, and keeping precepts, we can transform bad karma and create good karma, leading to a peaceful and enlightened life. An important point in Buddhist teachings is that sin is not something inherent in human nature. Everyone is born with a good nature, but sometimes, due to ignorance, greed, anger, and delusion, we create bad actions. Therefore, the goal of Buddhism is not to find a way to punish sin, but to guide people to enlightenment, to help them realize their own nature and transform the suffering they have created. The Buddha taught that every human being has the potential to become enlightened, and this path to enlightenment begins with being aware of our actions, words, and thoughts. When we understand karma and sin, we will know how to avoid wrong actions and develop good actions, thereby creating a happy and peaceful life. The Buddha's teachings on karma and sin help us realize that no one can punish us if we do not punish ourselves through our wrong actions. At the same time, it also helps us realize that each of us has the ability to change and improve ourselves. Sin is not something outside of us, but is the product of our own choices and decisions. With an understanding of karma and sin, we can live a responsible life, understanding and respecting our actions, words, and thoughts. This will help us create a better world, not only for ourselves, but also for everyone around us. Sin is not something that cannot be changed, but a lesson for us to be aware of and correct to become better people. Sin, according to the Buddha, is also not a fixed or permanent concept. Instead, sin is part of the process of spiritual growth, in which each person can change and transform himself. Human beings are not helpless creatures, imprisoned by the mistakes of the past, but are entities with the potential to awaken and reach enlightenment. It is the right perception and understanding of karma, sin, and wholesome actions that will open the path to freedom and peace. One of the most important things in the Buddha's teachings is the concept of right action and right thought. When we practice these actions and thoughts, we are creating good karma, which helps to eliminate bad karma and reduce suffering in life. Right action is not just about avoiding bad deeds, but also about actively creating good actions, helping others, and bringing benefits to the community. Thinking clearly is the elimination of negative thoughts, greed, anger, and delusion, and replacing them with understanding, compassion, and wisdom. The Buddha also taught that transforming karma is not easy, but it is not impossible. Through the practice of meditation and cultivation, we can master our minds, thereby changing the way we think and act. Meditation helps us practice mindfulness, concentration, and the ability to clearly perceive what is happening in our minds. When the mind is pure and clear, bad karma will gradually be transformed, and our actions will become increasingly good. Moreover, one of the important factors in transforming karma is forgiveness. Forgiveness is not only forgiving others, but also forgiving ourselves. We cannot change the past, but we can change the way we perceive and treat our mistakes. Forgiveness frees us from negative emotions such as anger, hatred, and sadness, thereby opening our hearts to receive love and compassion. In the process of transforming karma, the Buddha also emphasized the importance of self-awareness and patience. There is no easy path and no immediate results. Correcting old habits, changing wrong thoughts, and developing good qualities requires time, patience, and strong determination. However, if we have perseverance and practice correctly, positive results will come, not only for ourselves, but also for those around us. The Buddha also did not forget to mention the connection between sin and suffering. In Buddhism, suffering is not a punishment from a god, but the natural consequence of wrong actions. When we create bad karma, we have to face suffering, not only in this life but also in future lives. However, suffering is not something that cannot be overcome. Through practicing the Buddha's teachings, we can reduce suffering and attain liberation. Suffering is an inevitable part of life, but the Buddha teaches us how to face and overcome it. Through understanding karma and sin, we will no longer be afraid or confused by the challenges in life. We will realize that suffering is not something that cannot be changed, but an opportunity to grow and learn. And when we understand that suffering is the result of karma, we will be motivated to change and do better things. In addition, when we practice the Buddha's teachings, it is not only beneficial for ourselves, but also for the community around us. A person who practices properly will not only bring happiness to himself, but also spread peace, love, and compassion to everyone. Sin and suffering will no longer dominate our lives, but instead, there will be peace, freedom, and happiness. With all this, it can be seen that sin and karma are inseparable factors in every human life. However, we are not victims of karma, but people who have the ability to change it. Enlightenment and proper practice will help us create good karma, bringing a peaceful and free life, Actions such as killing, stealing, violence, whether small or large, are all seeds of suffering. When we take the life of a living being, we sow fear and pain into life. These actions not only directly hurt the victims, but also have a profound impact on ourselves and the community around us. In modern life, we sometimes easily overlook small actions such as lying, petty theft, or even just disrespectful gestures. However, all are seeds of suffering. They can take root and grow into greater disasters in the future. When we take the life of a being, whether an animal or a human, this is not only an act of causing death, but also depriving a living being of its right to live. This deprivation creates inevitable pain, not only for the victim, but also for the person who commits the action. Guilt, regret, and loss are always present in the mind of the person who caused the death. No one can live without the traces of wrongdoing, and these wounds, although invisible to the eyes, always exist in our souls. Violence, at any level, is an unacceptable act. It destroys not only the body, but also the soul and spirit of those affected. When we witness an act of violence, whether verbal or physical, we not only feel fear, but also frustration and pain. We wonder how people can behave like that. How can they hurt others without feeling remorse? So, the question is, how can we change? How can we escape the vicious cycle of suffering that these actions bring? One of the most effective ways is to change our own perceptions and actions. We need to learn to love and appreciate all life, from the smallest creatures to humans. This does not mean that we have to live in fear or accept wrongdoing, but rather that every action we take has an impact on the world around us and on ourselves. One of the important philosophies of Buddha is that whatever you sow, so shall you reap. Every action we take, big or small, can lead to good or bad results in life. If we want to live in a world of peace, happiness, and love, we need to start with ourselves by changing our thoughts and actions. Only then can we create good seeds so that they bloom into flowers of happiness, love, and peace in life. Just like in life, every action brings a reaction. The suffering or happiness we experience is not random, but the result of what we have sown. If we sow respect, love, and kindness, we will reap the sweet fruits of peace and happiness. On the contrary, if we sow suffering, anger, and violence, we will have to face the consequences of pain and suffering. We cannot change the past, but we can absolutely change our future by taking action today. Remember, every action we take is a reflection of our thoughts and hearts. Therefore, if we want to live in a better world, we need to start by changing ourselves from the smallest actions to create a future full of hope and love. However, change is not always easy. We may encounter temptations and difficulties, situations that make us feel angry, resentful, or miserable. In such times, it is important to maintain a calm and peaceful mind. The Buddha taught that when the mind is pure, we will no longer be dominated by greed, anger, and delusion. This means that no matter what the outside world is like, if our mind is always peaceful and mindful, we will not be swept away by negative emotions. An important element in practicing the Buddha's philosophy is to be clearly aware of our own actions and thoughts. In each situation, stop for a moment to ask yourself, will this action hurt others? Will it bring happiness or suffering? These simple but profound questions will help us stay alert and decide on the right actions. Sometimes, just a small change in perspective can make a big difference in the outcome. In addition, practicing compassion and tolerance is an important factor in this journey. Compassion is not only for others, but also for ourselves. We often tend to be too harsh and critical of ourselves when we make mistakes. However, forgiving ourselves and learning from our mistakes will help us grow. If we can forgive ourselves and others, peace of mind will be easily maintained. In addition, cultivating gratitude is an effective method to create happiness in life. When we are grateful for what we have, even the smallest things, we will feel joy in every moment. Gratitude is a way to help us look at life positively and appreciate what we have. It helps us see that life is not always easy, but with gratitude, we can overcome all difficulties and challenges. We need to understand that no matter what we do, everything can change if we persevere and are determined. A peaceful and good society cannot be built by just one individual, but by the solidarity and efforts of the whole community. Therefore, if each of us changes ourselves in a positive way, not only ourselves, but also the whole society will become better. Every small action we do, whether it is a smile, a compliment, or a helping gesture, can bring about positive change. If we can spread love and compassion, these values will be like good seeds, growing and developing, creating a peaceful and hopeful world. And when each of us lives in accordance with those values, suffering will gradually disappear, giving way to happiness and peace. So, no matter what the circumstances, always remember that each of our actions can change this world. We cannot change everything immediately, but each step, no matter how small, is part of the journey to bring about great change. And more importantly, if we can change ourselves, the world will automatically change accordingly. In the profound teachings of Buddhism, one of the teachings that we need to contemplate and practice in life is the Buddha's teaching. Whoever, for his own benefit, causes suffering to other living beings will never escape suffering. This is a warning about how each person should live in society, reminding us to put the common good above personal interests, as well as respect and love for all living beings. Words are powerful, like fire. They can both warm and burn. When we use words, they are not just simple sentences, but tools that can have a profound impact on others. A word can make someone feel comforted, loved, or can deeply hurt their self-esteem, sometimes without our intention. A word is a weapon that each of us can use, and that is why it is important to think carefully before speaking. Every lie can create a wound in the heart that is difficult to heal immediately. Insults can tear the listener's heart, making it impossible for them to fully recover even if given time or opportunity to heal. Feelings of betrayal or insult will create a dark shadow in that person's mind, and these shadows sometimes follow them throughout their lives. Moreover, in modern society, when social networks are strongly developed, every word and every share can be recorded and spread at a dizzying speed. A careless sentence on the internet can cause unpredictable consequences. Provocative words, disrespectful words towards others, or even words implying hatred can all lead to unwanted events. Violence, conflicts, and even wars can all originate from uncontrolled words. Therefore, I think we need to be more careful than ever when using words. In a volatile and rapidly changing society like today, a word can decide many things, from personal relationships to major changes in the community. Words are not simply a tool of communication, but they also reflect our respect, feelings, and attitudes towards others. On the contrary, a sincere, loving, and respectful word can change a soul. It can soothe pain, alleviate loneliness, and bring hope in the darkest of times. Therefore, I believe that if everyone is aware of the power of words, we can create a more peaceful and united society. When we speak, it is not only what we say, but also how we say it that matters. Sincere words without the intention to offend or put down others will help us build trust and respect for each other. On the contrary, thoughtless words can have unpredictable consequences. Remember, every word has power, and we need to use that power wisely and responsibly. A vicious word can kill more people than an army, not because it is physically violent, but because its power is beyond imagination. Toxic words can threaten and hurt not only the body, but also the soul, causing incurable wounds in the hearts of others. In modern society, communication between people is becoming easier and faster thanks to the media, social networks, and online platforms. This helps us connect with each other in all situations, even at a distance, but at the same time creates an environment in which vicious words can easily spread and affect millions of people. A criticism, a hurtful sentence, can quickly reach many people and sow negative emotions in society. The reason why a vicious word can cause serious consequences is because of human psychology. When a person hears negative words about themselves or someone else, the brain can react strongly. These words can make them feel insecure, self-conscious, or even lose confidence in themselves. This feeling can be long-lasting, tormenting, and lead to serious consequences such as depression, anxiety disorders, or even self-destructive behavior. In many cases, people who are hurt by negative words cannot overcome it, leading them to give up on life or feel they have no strength to stand up. Not only are they direct victims, negative words also affect the surrounding community. When false or offensive information spreads, it creates a social environment full of instability and tension. Relationships become fractured, trust is broken, and this can harm the development of a healthy society. Words can trade away what a person has spent a lifetime building. A person can spend their entire youth building a reputation, but just one evil word from another person can destroy it all. The power of evil words lies not only in causing immediate harm, but also in their ability to spread and create a bad environment. When we discuss the harmful effects of evil words, we cannot help but mention the responsibility of each individual to be careful with their words. We live in a world where anyone can be a speaker, and each of our words can have a great impact on those around us. Understanding that our words can cause harm will help each person become more careful in their speech. A kind word can heal all wounds, bring hope and faith, but a cruel word can push others into the abyss, hurting them both physically and mentally. Therefore, being careful and compassionate in each word is extremely important. Always remember that words can be dangerous weapons, and we need to use them wisely and responsibly. But not everyone is aware of the profound impact of words. In a society where everything can become a subject of criticism, we sometimes forget that each individual has the right to be respected and protected. Reducing negative words and replacing them with words of encouragement and support will help create a strong and positive community. Don't let carelessness in your words destroy the precious relationships you are building. Words are powerful weapons, and when used incorrectly, they can cause deep damage. Ask yourself every day, do my words bring positive things to others? Use words as a tool to build, create positive change instead of destroying what we have and are. Harsh words not only cause suffering to the recipient, but also harm the speaker. When we speak harshly, we not only hurt others, but also pollute our own souls. People who use bad words, sarcasm, or defame others will gradually lose sincerity and tolerance, precious human values. We can imagine a society where everyone respects each other and is careful with their words. Then, unnecessary harm will be minimized, and instead, there will be a peaceful space for everyone to grow together. In this environment, people will feel comfortable expressing themselves without fear of being hurt by harsh words. Such a society will even encourage sharing, listening, and empathy, important factors in building lasting relationships. Negative thoughts such as greed, jealousy, and anger are actually the root of all bad karma that we may encounter in life. These negative emotions and thoughts not only affect the person who has them, but can also have a negative impact on others, increasing suffering, stress, and conflict in society. Therefore, recognizing and regulating these emotions is extremely important, not only in the philosophy of Buddha, but also in modern psychological studies. Modern psychology has shown that every negative action, every wrong decision, or bad action comes from negative thoughts in our mind. When our mind is dominated by greed, jealousy, and anger, we cannot think clearly, and our actions will only lead to negative consequences for ourselves and others. For example, when a person feels jealous of another person's success, they may act in an inappropriate way or try to sabotage the other person to satisfy their own feelings of inferiority or insecurity. This is true not only for big actions, but also for small actions in daily life. Negative thoughts in the mind can form automatic reactions, leading to uncontrollable actions that hurt ourselves and those around us. A simple example is when we are angry with someone, unable to control our anger, we can hurt them with bad words and actions. On the contrary, cultivating and practicing positive thoughts, compassion, tolerance, and wisdom can help reduce these negative emotions. When we realize that all our actions have consequences and that suffering only leads to more suffering, we can change our perception and behavior to create harmony and happiness for ourselves and those around us. In the Buddha's teachings, right thinking, right speech, and right action are three important factors to reduce bad karma and move towards a peaceful life, free from suffering. The Buddha taught that mind is the master, mind is the cause, meaning that all our actions, words, and thoughts originate from the mind. If our mind is pure, our actions will become good, and conversely, if our mind is full of negative thoughts, our actions will also bring bad results. Therefore, each of us needs to make an effort to develop a pure and virtuous mind. This not only helps us create good actions, but also helps us resolve inner conflicts, thereby reducing stress and anxiety. Practicing mindfulness, meditation, and other methods taught by the Buddha are ways for us to recognize and transform negative thoughts so that we can live a peaceful and happy life. Modern psychology also shows that controlling negative thoughts is not only a necessary practice to avoid wrong actions, but also a method to protect mental health. Research has shown that persistent negative thoughts can lead to health problems such as stress, depression, and anxiety. When the mind is constantly covered with negative emotions, it not only affects the quality of life, but can also increase the risk of mental illness. However, it is important to realize that these thoughts are not a fixed part of human nature. They can be changed and transformed through effort and practice. If we understand that all negative actions originate from negative thoughts, we will easily realize that adjusting our thoughts is one of the important keys to improving the quality of our lives. Negative thoughts such as greed, jealousy, and anger are actually the root of all bad karma that we may encounter in life. These negative emotions and thoughts not only affect the person who has them, but can also have a negative impact on others, increasing suffering, stress, and conflict in society. Therefore, recognizing and regulating these emotions is extremely important, not only in the philosophy of Buddha, but also in modern psychological studies. Modern psychology has shown that every negative action, every wrong decision, or bad action comes from negative thoughts in our mind. When our mind is dominated by greed, jealousy, and anger, we cannot think clearly, and our actions will only lead to negative consequences for ourselves and others. For example, when a person feels jealous of another person's success, they may act in an inappropriate way or try to sabotage the other person to satisfy their own feelings of inferiority or insecurity. This is true not only for big actions, but also for small actions in daily life. Negative thoughts in the mind can form automatic reactions, leading to uncontrollable actions that hurt ourselves and those around us. A simple example is when we are angry with someone, unable to control our anger, we can hurt them with bad words and actions. On the contrary, cultivating and practicing positive thoughts, compassion, tolerance, and wisdom can help reduce these negative emotions. When we realize that all our actions have consequences and that suffering only leads to more suffering, we can change our perception and behavior to create harmony and happiness for ourselves and those around us. In the Buddha's teachings, right thinking, right speech, and right action are three important factors to reduce bad karma and move towards a peaceful life, free from suffering. The Buddha taught that mind is the master, mind is the cause, meaning that all our actions, words, and thoughts originate from the mind. If our mind is pure, our actions will become good, and conversely, if our mind is full of negative thoughts, our actions will also bring bad results. Therefore, each of us needs to make an effort to develop a pure and virtuous mind. This not only helps us create good actions, but also helps us resolve inner conflicts, thereby reducing stress and anxiety. Practicing mindfulness, meditation, and other methods taught by the Buddha are ways for us to recognize and transform negative thoughts so that we can live a peaceful and happy life. Modern psychology also shows that controlling negative thoughts is not only a necessary practice to avoid wrong actions, but also a method to protect mental health. Research has shown that persistent negative thoughts can lead to health problems such as stress, depression, and anxiety. When the mind is constantly covered with negative emotions, it not only affects the quality of life, but can also increase the risk of mental illness. However, it is important to realize that these thoughts are not a fixed part of human nature. They can be changed and transformed through effort and practice. If we understand that all negative actions originate from negative thoughts, we will easily realize that adjusting our thoughts is one of the important keys to improving the quality of our lives. Although negative emotions such as greed, jealousy, and anger are a natural part of being human, it does not mean that we have to tolerate and let them control us. We can learn to control and transform these emotions into more positive thoughts and actions. Practicing compassion, forgiveness, and wisdom are ways to reduce and change negative thoughts, thereby leading to positive actions. With the help of meditation and mindfulness techniques, we can learn to be aware of negative thoughts as they arise in our minds, and then transform them before they have a chance to affect our actions. Meditation helps us create a quiet space in our minds where we can observe and understand more clearly the nature of our thoughts and emotions. When we can master our minds, we will no longer be dominated by negative thoughts, and our lives will become lighter and more peaceful. Moreover, practicing compassion not only helps us change the way we perceive others, but also changes the way we perceive ourselves. When we understand that everyone has their own difficulties and sufferings, we will no longer feel jealous or angry towards them. This helps us create a harmonious living environment where everyone respects and loves each other. In short, changing negative thinking and cultivating positive thoughts is a continuous process requiring patience and effort from each person. However, with the support of Buddhist teachings and modern psychological practices, we can completely achieve this goal. When our minds are clear and pure, we not only improve the quality of our lives, but also create a more peaceful and happy world for everyone. We cannot deny the importance of developing wisdom and compassion in our lives. In Buddhism, Wisdom is not only the understanding of the teachings, but also the deep understanding of the nature of life and how the mind works. With wisdom, we will be more aware of the impermanence of everything, not caught up in greed, anger, or jealousy. We understand that everything in life is changing and nothing lasts forever. This helps us let go of negative emotions and live happily in the present. In addition to wisdom, compassion is an indispensable factor in transforming negative thoughts. Compassion is not only loving and caring for others, but also the ability to treat ourselves with sympathy and tolerance. In life, we cannot avoid difficulties, failures, or times when we feel hurt. However, when we have self-compassion, we will not hurt ourselves with negative thoughts or self-blame. Instead, we will learn to accept and forgive ourselves, thereby finding peace of mind. To truly change and keep our minds clear, we also need to practice patience and self-control. Any change requires time and effort, and this is also true for changing the way we think and act. During this process, there will be times when we feel difficult, even fail. However, it is during these times that we need to persevere and not give up. Once we understand that cultivating the mind is a long-term process and requires patience, we will no longer feel discouraged by challenges. When we practice methods such as meditation and mindfulness, we can help calm our minds and become more aware of our thoughts and emotions. Through this, we will know how to recognize and not be swept away by negative thoughts, instead transforming them into good and positive actions. Meditation helps us observe things from a different perspective, not being dominated by emotions and hasty thoughts. This helps us master ourselves, maintain peace of mind, regardless of external circumstances. Another important thing is to create a positive living environment where we are surrounded by people with positive thoughts and support each other in the development process. The surrounding environment has a great influence on each person's mood and thoughts. If we live in an environment full of stress, anger, or negativity, it will be difficult to change and nurture positive thoughts. On the contrary, when living in a harmonious, loving, and supportive environment, we will easily develop and nurture good qualities. Especially in modern times, where relationships, work, and information are always stressful, we need to pay more attention to taking care of our souls and mental health. Modern life often presents challenges and pressures that we sometimes cannot avoid. However, if we can maintain calmness, patience, and wisdom in all situations, we will easily overcome difficulties and find the path to true happiness. Therefore, learning to master ourselves, control our thoughts and actions is extremely important to maintain peace in today's life. We cannot change the world around us immediately, but we can change the way we perceive and react to everything. Each of us can become a positive change agent in society, not only through big actions, but also through small, simple actions every day. Setting a good example for others, treating those around you with compassion and respect, will create a more harmonious and better living environment. Mind leads all things. Mind is the master. Mind creates everything. This saying of the Buddha is truly profound and penetrating. In Buddhism, mind is considered the decisive factor in all actions, all thoughts, and everything that happens in our lives. Every action, whether good or bad, comes from the mind. Therefore, mind is not only the key factor, but also the source of all suffering or happiness in life. Mind creates causes, and from there, results will arise. If the mind has greed, anger, or delusion, the result is suffering. If the mind is pure, compassionate, and wise, the result is happiness. Let us try to imagine a life in which our mind is completely free from greed, anger, and delusion. This is not easy because we are always caught up in negative emotions, in frustration, anxiety, and in unsatisfied desires. However, the Buddha taught that we can master our mind, and when we master our mind, we will master our own life. This does not mean that we will never encounter difficulties or challenges, but if our mind is stable and clear, we will be able to face and overcome all difficulties more easily. Those who meditate or practice Buddhist methods will realize that one of the most important factors in life is the control of the mind. When the mind is disturbed, we cannot think clearly, cannot work effectively, and of course, cannot feel happy. An unstable mind is like a boat drifting in the ocean, being tossed by the waves without a clear direction. Therefore, practicing, meditating, and training the mind is not only a method to help us achieve serenity, but also a way to help us face all the adversities in life. The Buddha also pointed out that when the mind is unwholesome, suffering follows like a cartwheel following a cow's hoof. This image is vivid, easy to understand, and easy to visualize. When our minds are dominated by negative emotions such as anger, jealousy, or hatred, we will bring suffering to ourselves and those around us. Because those emotions are like wheels, they keep turning, creating endless cycles of suffering. We cannot escape those feelings if we do not know how to regulate and master our minds. Think of a situation in life where you have been angry or frustrated with someone. When we are angry, we often cannot control our words and actions. We may say hurtful words to others or do things that we later regret. When the mind is dominated by anger, it is like an uncontrollable monster, causing harm to ourselves and those around us. But if we can stop for a second, take a deep breath, and realize that we are in a state of anger, we will be able to refrain from saying hurtful words to others. This will not only help us avoid suffering, but also help build healthier relationships with those around us. Suffering is not something that any of us want, but it is an inevitable part of life. However, we can reduce this suffering by mastering our mind. When the mind is calm and peaceful, we will be able to perceive all problems clearly and make better decisions. A clear mind will help us see clearly the nature of all things and phenomena in life. At that time, we will no longer be swept away by negative emotions, no longer led by desires and ambitions. We will live a more peaceful and happier life. However, in life, we cannot always control our mind. There are times when we feel tired, stressed, and pressured by work, family, or society. At those times, our mind is easily shaken and disturbed. Therefore, practicing and training the mind is a long-term and continuous process. The Buddha taught that mind is the master, mind creates everything. This reminds us that we are the ones who decide our lives, and mind is the key to all changes in life. I believe that if we can master our mind, we can not only help ourselves escape suffering, but also help those around us. Because when our mind is pure, our actions will become kind and compassionate. We will be able to listen to others, share their pain, and overcome difficulties with them. From there, we will create a better society where everyone lives in peace and happiness,